YouTube. It's your buttery voiced host, Hefty, while coming at you again. And we are joined again by, of course, my illustrious co-host J.J, the infamous Sam, and oh boy, am I so glad to have this guy back, Chris motherfucking Seaver, back on the show. Round of applause for Mr. Seaver, everybody.
Good.
And
claps for himself. What a guy.
Yeah, I know. Well, you got it. You know, if you can't give yourself a hand job, who will?
I mean, hookers,
man. Ghost.
I'm not Dan Aykroyd. That shit never happens to me. Wake up with a ghost blowjob. Shit.
I can't imagine that to be the worst thing in the world.
Right? But also kind of creepy when you really think about it.
I guess so.
Because you don't know where it's coming from.
Depends on the ghost.
Yeah, it does. That does depend on the ghost,
I suppose.
Yeah, if it's like Mark Twain, you're like, no way.
Well, you feel the snap,
those ectoplasm-coated shorts.
That's right. Yes, it's ectoplasm. You try
I mean any of the ghosts from the Russ Meyer films. I'll take
yeah.
Good way to start the show.
It is. Hand jobs and hookers. Sure, why not?
Good way to start it.
So last time, Sam wasn't able to make it. So, Chris, we're going to let Sam kind of stick his fingers in your brain for a few. And if he wants to pull them out and smell them, that's up to him. But Sam, if you want to take the reins, go right ahead, buddy.
Well, first off, want to start by saying I've been able to sample a good number of your films, and anyone that makes that many ass and fluid jokes is a good man in my book. I did try to rush a couple in over the last few weeks. I did not get into the Stoink series, but I did watch the Paranormal Investigation one and a few others. And I wanted to know if it was a director's decision or an actor's decision for some of the actors to go into sort of a Shakespearean stage accent in certain scenes. Because I was very amused that while they were pontificating about the situation before them, it was just kind of like, and now we're speaking like this, and I'm not sure why. And it's like it was awesome. It was like
it depends on who it is.
I wish I took better notes. I think I was a little too drunk to take notes.
Was this in PIA?
Paranormal
Investigation.
I can definitely, I definitely remember that happening in Paranormal Investigation Agency.
I mean, usually it's me who says, "Do it like this," you know.
I know you have sort of a recurring cast of characters too, sort of a stable of actors. So
yeah, they're all.
I'm sure some of them have like okay, we're going to do this, and I'll do my thing, and that does recur a couple times. Again, my notes are at best chicken scratch in crayon with whiskey stains on them. So I will not be a great journalist in this, but
yeah, usually it's me, and certainly if they're doing a character that they've done before, then they know what they're supposed to do. There's one guy. Again, he's one of my best friends, but Billy Garbarina, who's in a lot of my movies, he will just in life, he'll break into like speaking like he's in the fucking medieval times, and
that's kind of awesome.
Actually, it's really annoying.
Is it really?
Yeah.
There's both sides for me.
Some of us who just hate it, and I mean, the last time he was here, last Christmas, I was like, enough. You know, he's like, what? I'm like, why do you fucking do that all the time? Like, he's like, I don't know. I think you like it. I think it's funny. I'm like, okay, it's just talk like a normal Billy. You know, please. You don't have to talk like this the whole time. Yes, Seaver, let's go do this and let's grab this munch and yum yum yum. He just does it. And then sometimes, you know, we'll do it again in a scene if Billy is just like randomly doing it. I'm like, no, Billy, you know.
You gotta pull in the reins on him.
You gotta bring it back in.
Yeah.
So you do have a line. You don't let absolute chaos reign, but like just enough chaos.
Well, it's if it like it's weird. Like as much as of my movies don't make sense, they have to make sense in the movie. And if you're doing something that doesn't make sense in this world, I'm like, why the fuck are you doing it? Like, so there's like a lot of like weird ass like one-liner,
Not at all, Chantel.
almost dad joke, or no one even said the term dad joke. There's a lot of stuff like that Gilly will do. I would just cut it out, and now it has become like inside jokes where all of us sort of poke fun at him for these bad, terrible, like improv one-liners that are just like you look at each other and you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
Well, I like that you intuited my next question. I was going to ask how much improv do you guys do when you're shooting? Because
None.
I've
I
made
know that from
no.
last episode. Yep, none.
we did talk about it, but there's not a lot at all. I'll just say it again. Like, we stick pretty close to the script, and it's very few people who actually enjoy improving. There's a few, and if it works for me, if it makes me giggle, then I'll keep it in. But
Fair enough.
it's not a lot. It doesn't happen a lot, and it only happens with a couple of the people.
Makes sense.
For the most part, everyone just does what's in the script. What they don't like is when we're doing it, and then I'll yell out as the scene is going. I'll yell out some weird random shit for them to say, and that kind of like, they're like, and then they'll have to say that, or it'll make people laugh on the spot, and we'll have to like, do it over again. That improv does happen where I'll just shout out some weird shit for them to say. But it is very rare that there's any improv during the actual like main shooting of the movie.
Is Josh one of those ones that you'll let go, or does he do that ever, or is he more like a by the script guy?
He sticks to the script.
He does. Okay.
Yeah. So the people who do it often are Jason, McCall, and Casey, who plays teenager in a lot of my movies. And he's my cousin.
Yeah, your cousin
now,
Casey. Yeah.
Casey does it because he doesn't retain anything in the script. He very rarely does. So he'll just say some shit added to it, and lots of times, like in the behind the scenes, you'll hear me say like, "What the fuck was that?" And we all just laugh about it because it's just like that has nothing to do with what you're saying, and it's because he forgets, so he just makes up shit. Sometimes I leave it in if it makes me chuckle, and when it's not there, it's not there. So
I get that.
So it's fair to say you abide by two major rules. One would be the rule of cool, and the other is this made me laugh, so that's good too.
Yeah. Everything. I mean, that's the number one rule in the shit that I make is if it's making me laugh and it's making the gang laugh, then it works for us. You throw it up in the air when you let it out to the world, and if it makes people laugh or not, that's not up to you anymore. But it did the job for me, So
now I don't know if you feel a kinship with the grindcore band Anal Cunt, but your titling tendencies, like Anal Paprika 2 Vampire Killers and Bloody Nipples and stuff like that, if the title's funny, like that's an immediate, I have to see what this is about for me.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why we do it. It's just an eye catcher. Like Anal Paprika has nothing to do with the 3 Anal Paprika films. Like there's no one sprinkling paprika on anuses.
I had noticed there was, I don't think, a single teaspoon of paprika in the entire film.
Yeah, those that doesn't happen. It really is just an eye catcher. It's like,
this works though.
Scrotal vengeance. It's funny. It makes me giggle. So it's
Scrotal vengeance.
I
love it. So there's like movie ideas going around. I had a story floating around in my head about a sentient hair clog crawling out of a shower drain and attacking people the Thing style. That'd be kind of wild.
That sounds like
It's
the
a Go
plot of an
Picture.
episode of
It's called Picture. It's a real art house gem. Call my
Okay, wait.
agent.
If you're about to do that voice, I have to ask, where did that come from? Like, what was the idea behind her character? Because she's my favorite in that movie. I love her so much.
It's
Every time
funny
she talks,
because lots of people
I
hate her.
cannot stop. Really?
I
I love
love
her
Jessie.
to death.
I
I
love
cannot
Jessie.
stop laughing. It's like,
Yeah.
hello, do you know my mother? And I'm like, what is going on? I love
Oh,
it.
she's
people-
sleeping on the deer. She's like,
Yep.
Yeah, I think people just don't get her. They don't get it. They don't.
That's
It's annoying. They're very annoyed by her.
It's old style.
and I think
Hollywood, yo.
it
That's why I
pissed
get it.
even more people off when she came back in the second one.
oh, I loved it though. I see that.
no,
Okay, that's
seriously,
fair.
she's
It's
great.
she's a divisive character. I can understand, but yeah, that is what is with that. Like, it's
Like, where did that come from?
So it's just funny old time Hollywood. You know, the
Mhm.
way people spoke back then has always sort of made me giggle. And when we were doing a short, which is I put out, it's called the Blue Cheese Brothers. When we did this short, I had Jessie play Satan. She was Satan with a rat, and I wanted her to play it like an old timey movie star.
Okay.
And that's where it came from. You know,
the Gwendolyn movie.
I love
yeah,
you with
yeah.
the jazz hands.
Well,
Yeah.
so I remember watching or listening to the director's commentary, and she was talking about her. Was it her grandmother Fifi, whose cabin they used?
Yep, we shot it there.
But a lot of her clothing came from there, right? Like the gaudy,
Yep.
The gaudy headdress that she wears, and like, so was she, Fifi? Was she part of old Hollywood, or was that just?
No, it's
A
just
gimmick.
her Grammy is really fun and funny. Well, she was, and that Jesse Ames, that the Ames family are just goofballs.
That's fair, and that's her real name too, right? Because
Fifi?
I was like, that can't. No, Jesse. Because I was like Jesse Ames. I was like Jesse James. I was like, that can't be her real name.
No,
I'm like,
Jesse Ames is her real name. Yeah.
That's wild.
That's cool though.
Yeah, and she's got really cool tats too.
Yeah, it's funny when the evolution of Jesse's tattoos. Like she had nothing when she first joined us in 2000, the end of 2003, nothing, and then you get to where she left us in 2013, and she's completely covered.
Yeah, she even. I'm sorry to interrupt, but even during Blood Fart, you can see the owl that's on her chest.
Yeah,
At first, it just starts out as the line work. And then the further into the movie you get, it's more filled in and there's color with it and like shading. And I'm like, wait a second.
So
Yeah,
are you
in
getting
the-
it done during the movie then?
Like,
I
in
didn't
the-
catch that. That's good.
There's nothing worse for continuity than having an actor show up with no tattoo, and then on day 2, all of a sudden there's a tattoo. Do we shoot around it? What do we do? I don't know.
Not for us. Just keep fucking going.
T-Bone.
Hi, Vanessa. What's going on? T-Bone. Thanks to everybody who showed up in the chat. Jimmy, Tui, Lady Fluffy.
Hello.
Everybody. It's good to see everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you on that, Chris, but it made me think of that when I was watching it last time. It's just line work on her tats. And then like by the end of the movie, it's like filled in and shade. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, that's where that Hollywood, that's where Gwen basically came from.
That's where that per diem went.
And that's actually a good question. Is it for the love of the game or do they get paid? Or is that none of my fucking business? You tell
No, I
me.
mean they don't get paid. I mean,
That's awesome.
again, because they're just my buddies.
Friends, yeah.
None of them are actors.
So they all get a can of pork and beans on the way out the door.
Yeah, we're just one big family. We don't
Oh, that's kind of awesome.
they can say yes or no. You know what I mean? Like it's
Makes
that
sense.
type of thing. I'll pay for them to fly out, but I would do that even if they're coming to hang out, which we do a lot. I said in the last one, like we make it a point that we all hang out even when we're not making movies, we try to, because they're all scattered around the country, but we try to see each other every year.
How far is your farthest friend?
Billy is in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I lived
Damn.
out that way.
Albuquerque exists? Holy shit.
Yes, I've been there. I lived out that way actually.
Yeah, but we got, I mean, people are out in Kansas City, Missouri. We've got people in Michigan. They're just all over the place. Very few of the gang are here in Rochester with me.
Which makes sense though.
So, but yeah, so the payment, I mean, they all, and when everyone comes, they all stay at my house. That's how it's always been. Everyone just stays.
Oh, that's so cool though.
Is the couch still blue?
Even when we have Debbie Restaurant, she stays with us.
Really?
That's cool shit.
Wow.
She's our buddy,
That's so
Yeah, you guys
cool.
are all friends.
And she's a great actor or
Oh, she's
actress.
amazing.
I don't know. What do you do these days? Actors, actresses?
Yeah, she's
It's all the same, I think.
phenomenal. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, she's great.
It's only when we have sort of like the people who are in it to win it, the people who are actually like paid actors and doing stuff. That's when we try to kick out the money, for those folks. But for the people that you regularly see in my films, they're my buddies. And it's like I'll say, okay, I've got this project in mind. This is what I want to do for the year coming up. And I throw that out to everybody and I say who can do it and who can't. And the people who can do it, that's when I start writing, because I write for the people. And that's why, like, you don't see them every film.
Which makes sense. I get that.
Or they'll say, oh, catch me on the next one. I can do it, next time. So.
Makes sense.
There's always a project, right?
Yeah. And if it's not the project, then it's just like, hey, are you coming out for Christmas? Let's do this.
On like a normal like time for like Thanksgiving, Christmas, if the gang came out, like normally how many of them actually come over and like spend the time with you during that kind of season time?
It's
make any sense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's very rare do we get the whole gang together.
Okay.
That usually is reserved for the films.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily the shot on video stuff we do, but the more like 4K streamlined, the stuff that we actually have a budget for. We have more of the crew than we do for like the Death of Lantern films. You know what I mean? But we, like, I think I talked about it a little bit last time, but we do this thing called Gash Bash every year, which is simply just a 5-day sleepover. That's all it is. We watch movies, we grill, we swim, we hang out, and as many people that we can get to come will come.
Oh, that's cool.
Sometimes it's 16 people, sometimes it's 5. It's just
that's cool though. I kind of find it really cool. You, even though like you guys don't film all the time, you still keep in touch with everyone. You still want to bring them back in.
Like, they're my best friends. I can't.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's people who have friends who are Facebook friends, but you like keep them close to you. Like they're a part of like your extended family, which I think is amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why you see a lot of these guys over and over and over again. It's very tough to find people who are so sort of dedicated to doing this, especially when you're not getting any monetization from it. So
They do it because they love it.
For 25 years, these people, they've just been my buddies, and some of them, listen, I'm going on 34 years of making this shit in February. 34 years.
Congrats.
And I still know a few of those people who were with me from the start, when LBP started. I still have some friends from back then, from my high school days, but yeah, this group of people, I've been amazed that I've been able to add 4 new people in the last few years, who want to keep coming back and who want to keep doing this. That's amazing to me. So it's been nice to add new blood to the the roster, you know. So.
Well, I think that speaks a lot about you as well. You know.
I guess. Yeah. They certainly, you know, and listen, the people we've lost for different reasons.
Mhm.
You know, and it's talked about in the documentary, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Good documentary.
what do you do? What do you do? You know, it's relationships, and I was thankful and blessed to have those people when I did. Not just in my life, but for the films and everything. And you know, you do what you do, and I hang on to the ones who are still here, man. Like, you know, they could leave any fucking time they want. They could say, you know what, I'm kind of over you. But thankfully, you know, I'm
That's
still
kind of the way it goes sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for example, there's a guy. His name is Travis and Navina. He was in a bunch of my movies, you know, years ago. And we sort of split ways in 2011, but now he's back in my life, and we've been hanging out again. You know,
Oh,
it's
that's
you
awesome.
just kind of never know. Um,
Good for you guys. That's pretty cool.
you know,
What's-
it's people growing, it's people changing, it's that type of thing.
Life just kind of happens that way sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You get older, you start to realize that like maybe some things that were important back in the day aren't really that important, and you know, and especially on a friendship level, like you know, writing people off sucks. You know what I mean? And you always want to leave on a good note, which obviously doesn't always happen.
Yeah. I
but I
mean,
think
there's a bunch of people in the group who were in the group who will never come back. Who
Oh damn.
I'm good that I'll never see these people again.
I was
But-
saying the way he said never, I was like, ooh, that's not good.
But you know, there's a couple that I'm like, I wish that didn't, you know, and
Which I think happens with all
these
of
that
them.
I'm talking about didn't necessarily end with any conflict whatsoever. It was just, oh, they just stopped hanging out.
They just bounced out and said
It was just
Fine.
okay. And so that kind of like sucks. That's like a man, because a couple of them I felt were family. I
No, I get that.
really
It hurt.
appreciated and adored these people, but it's just like for them, life changes, and they were just see ya, you know.
I understand that. It sucks, but I have a few friends who've done the exact same thing. Just all of a sudden, I'm like, I hope you're good. Like, I don't hear from you anymore. I don't even know where you went, but I hope you're good.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
there's
But-
oh sorry, go ahead.
You know, listen, you know, you always hear like it's tough in your, you know, now us. I mean, we're almost 50. It's
Well,
tough.
you and me are. These guys are fucking young as hell, Chris. You don't even
Okay.
want to know how old Sam is. He's 12. No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Well, so what I'm, but like it's, you know, you hear that cliche is that it's tough to find friends
It is.
this late in
Mhm.
life. But I've got fucking like 16 friends that like are here, are loyal, fucking amazing human beings, and
Which is awesome.
I couldn't
Well,
be happier.
I'm glad you count us in on those. Thank you, Chris. That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
That's sweet of you to
I
say.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, shut up, Hefty.
Sorry. There's a couple ways I wanted to go. The things that I wanted to ask you about, but the first thing I think, since we brought up the documentary, is you got a little something going on tomorrow. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So, there's this dude. His name is Bruce Longo. He has a company called Bloodsick Productions. He makes really like gritty, gross, kind of nasty, gritty, true crime slash, you know, SOV films out in Philadelphia. But he's been a fan of my shit for years.
Oh, that's cool.
And he runs this independent film night at the Philomoka theater out in Philadelphia. And he was like, "Hey, do you want to do like a double feature, Seaver? Do you want to?" Because he brings like filmmakers and you know indie filmmakers out to the event. and showcases their work and gives them a chance to, maybe find new people who've never heard of the shit before.
Now I kind of wish we could go to Philly.
And so he was like, hey, let's, I want to do the documentary. So I want to bring Zach out, and the director of the doc, and he's coming out. And we were going to try to showcase the new feature I did, but it's still not ready, that we shot last summer.
Is that the one we can't talk about yet?
Yeah, we can't talk about it.
I'll say it's the same one from last time.
Yeah.
So he's like, would you want to show, Death of Lantern 3, which we just did. We shot in October. That's a shot on VHS crap fest. And I was like, really? He's like, yes, I love those. I love those films, those Death of Lantern films, the SOV stuff that we do to emulate the SOV stuff from back in the day. And
Yes.
I was like, all right, if you think, sure, we'll show Death of Lantern 3. And so that's the other thing we're showing. And Zach and I are going out to do like a Q&A.
That's cool.
Out in Philly tomorrow night, 7:00 at Philomoka in Philadelphia.
That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty. I wish I wasn't working.
Me too. I was like, can we go to Philly? That sounds cool.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
I've been to
the trouble of shooting stuff to look like it's shot on video, because I know the earlier stuff is absolutely, definitely shot on VHS tape, and then
we shoot everything VHS if we're gonna shoot VHS. If it's gonna be SOV, then we shoot VHS. I can't stand filters. I can't stand them. So we shoot the way that I did back in the day.
That's cool though. Keeps it real.
So you, what kind of camera are you using if you're still shooting on tape? Like I've got on in the background, Filthy McNasty is ambiently on the TV right now.
Filthy McNastiest is fun. I mean, those movies that you think were shot on VHS were actually shot mini DV.
Oh, okay.
Like the Filthy McNasty movies were all shot mini DV. They just look terrible.
Well, you absolutely, you can get that look out of mini DV. It's the same technology, just smaller.
Yeah.
I don't know why she says that. Oh, wow.
So, I mean, we shoot like I think it's a Panasonic over the shoulder, tape loader, and then we shoot on a. We will do.
Oh shit, he's got it right behind him. That's so awesome. I was like, wait, he actually had it behind him.
That's
The
awesome.
mark of an artist,
taking
the
it to the
tools are just around.
to shoot the event tomorrow. And then for other shots because the big over the shoulder shit we usually keep tethered, and then for the non-tethered shots,
The inserts and stuff.
I'll use like this guy.
Oh, okay.
Nice,
Shit.
okay.
Yeah, one of those right up there.
I shot a lot of dumb stuff in high school on one of those.
Yeah, and this I've had since back in the day, since the 90s. When I graduated from over the shoulder to.
Oh, you really do have one of those. That's cool as shit.
And
If my camera worked, I'd show you mine.
Oh, Sam.
We just use these tapes that came.
Yeah. I've got a pile of those somewhere with a bunch of shitty zombie stuff on it.
Oh, nice.
The old put some Elmer's glue on the skin and use some markers to fake depth, because the film resolution was not great, so everything would read on camera more or less. It's like, make your props, make your makeup. How does it look? Well, squint at it. That's kind of what the camera sees. You can get away with anything.
Which makes sense.
But that neatly leads me right along to a question I have been burning to ask, because when I was doing some digging, it seems some of your earlier stuff was Friday the 13th fan films, something I myself have dabbled in. And I would swear back in the day, back in the old message board days, I think I saw one of your Friday the 13th films, and I could not dig it back up for the life.
Probably did. So The reason that is because my earlier stuff was put out through a company called Cemetery Cinema that Todd Cook ran in the early 90s.
That name
And
rings a bell.
It was just
and-
not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and I made like a bunch of, growing up. I still have a lot of my tapes from 89 on. And even before that, with our family's first video camera in 1984, I was making backyard Jason and Freddy shit with friends and neighbors and stuff like that. And I just kept a lot of that stuff. And so sort of when honing the craft, if you want to call it that, a lot of what we were doing was just, Freddie and Jason shit. So we made countless, little pieces of crap like that. They were always silly. They were always comical. And one of them was Friday the 13th Halloween night.
That I think is the one I saw.
So Todd would put those out with the original stuff that we were doing. He was the first guy that ever put my stuff out, like outside of my little Wellsville, New York town. You know what I mean? This was like 93. And he would give those out if people say people would buy our flick Bloody Bobby, which he retitled Church Boy. Then he would include these fan films. And later in life, you come to see those fan films on like the tape trading forums and and shit like that. So like there would be people who would be like, "Hey, are you the Chris Seaver who made this Friday the 13th Halloween night thing?" And I'd be like, "Yep, that was that was me from 1994. That one was." And now I have it. I did a thing called Seavage's Fan Film Frights. It's a Blu-ray where I compiled like a bunch of my early fan films. We also did a parody of From Dusk Till Dawn called From Almost Night Till Almost Day.
I was going to ask about that one too.
And that is on the Blu-ray as well.
That was what I could not find, and I wanted to watch desperately because I knew exactly what you were doing with that.
Where did you get those at?
From me.
From you? And no,
like
is it
directly
like-
from him. Yes.
So it'd be, because I know this is one of the questions I was asking, is like a website, or is it just like people DM you?
Yeah, people just get a hold of me. Like
Oh,
there's. So I've made 65 movies, right?
yeah.
Maybe 38 of them are sold through companies. The rest of them, the only way you can get them is through me. And I don't do like a website. If you want to get them, you can find me at a convention, or you can just hit me up and I make a deal that way. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
I'm not a business. I don't like that. So that's why we've made our own Blu-rays,
Which makes
and
sense.
it's really the only way you can get a hold of us. Like Evil Night, it's the only way you can you just contact me.
Oh, there's one of them right over there.
Yes, yes, it's right up there with the other one that is not available. That I'm
Death for Lantern 3. You can only get through me. Blue Cheese Brothers, all that shit.
Nice.
The Stoinky Saga. It's got Stoinky Beach, Stoinkmare Before Christmas, and a Stoinkmare on Halloween Street.
So that means if you buy them from him, you're one of the few people who has a copy of these movies.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Which I
So
think is pretty cool.
Seavage's Fan Film Frights you can get through me. And that one is special too because those original members of Low Budget Pictures I have not spoken to or seen since the 90s. And through these Blu-rays, I've been able to track down a lot of the original members, my friends from back then, who made these movies with me, and we've done special features together to put on those discs.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's awesome. It was like great to see the old gang
I can imagine, definitely.
and yeah, the people who started out with me.
I think that's amazing, man. Because
Mhm.
yeah, I was trying to find anything last night because I wanted to put links in the description for you. Which, by the way, guys, if you want to go check out his YouTube video or his YouTube channel, it's right down in the description below, along with JJ stuff and my stuff and everybody else's. But I couldn't find a website, but I found like your Instagram and something else, and I was like, that's weird. I wonder if you just have to get a hold of them.
Yeah, I'm only.
That's all it is. It's like, oh, okay.
We used to have a website many moons ago when we would sell shirts and posters and all sorts of stuff. But I just didn't like being, because it was just me. I was the one who still just package everything and send it out to everybody.
Yeah,
And I was just like, man, I don't want to be a business. I don't like this. I'm just a dude who makes shitty movies. Get a hold of me and we'll make a deal.
Excuse me, arguably shitty movies, because
Shitty is definitely relative.
There's a lot of us, and I know, and Chris, I love Blood Fart, so I'm going to go back to it. But there's a lot of us, man, that would argue that Blood Fart Lake is one of like the greatest movies ever made for a bunch of different reasons.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? So and again, art is subjective and everything, but I want to use arguably the shittiest movies, because
I want to say that when I say shitty movies, I know what I'm making. So I know I'm making shitty movies. I love shitty movies. I
prefer the term low budget and auteur. And
I agree with that, Sam.
you can say that. Like I said last time, I call it high garbage. It's
oh, that's fantastic.
That was my
and I love making that stuff, and I love watching that stuff, and I grew up with that stuff. So
you watch you watch what's your diet of other guys in your high garbage field? Do you like the Polonia brothers?
So this is talked about in the documentary, and I talked a little bit about it last time. But growing up in the '80s, I had a store called Video Connection in Wellsville, and that was the best video store I still have ever been to my entire life. And I had it right in my own backyard. You know what I mean? Like, it was just downtown, and they got everything. And it blew my mind when they started carrying shot on video horror movies. Just blew my fucking mind. So, 88, 89, I'm renting all this stuff. I'm making this shit in my backyard, and I'm renting this stuff, and I'm like having my mind blown that I just rented this stuff based on the cover, based on what the back looks like. I'm renting this stuff, and it's shot on VHS camera.
Consumer grade, yeah.
But I wasn't turned off. I was like, this is amazing. So I would follow these people, and luckily a lot of those filmmakers were also putting their wares in the back of Fangoria. So, me as a Fango kid, I'm looking in the back and I'm seeing anything that's like independent or anything, and I'm ordering catalogs from those places. So I'm getting alternative cinema by J.R. Bookover. I'm seeing all this stuff. I'm seeing the Todd Sheets stuff, the Polonia stuff.
Todd Sheets is he's great.
Oh,
Todd's the zombie bloodbath trilogy is fucking legendary, dude. The mullet guy,
those rule.
Yeah.
So Todd, Jr., to even a lesser extent, Ron Bonk, but the Polonias, like all those guys, John McBride, Todd Cook, like that stuff was like mind altering to me. And it, along with renting Bad Taste and Toxic Avenger back to back in '89, that sent me really on like, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to make these fun, stupid, ridiculous, no budget comedy horror movies with my sensibilities, but being inspired by this stuff. And clearly it can be achieved. so that's, it's those guys who were the inspiration back in the day. And I said this before, but I've been lucky enough to work with the majority of all those people in my life now, and I cherish those relationships.
That's pretty cool though.
Same with Trauma. I had that 10-year relationship with Trauma. Did so much with Trauma. It's it's no more, but what a wild time. Like that stuff to me, was life changing. That was
Sure.
earth shattering, and coming into that world and being able to work with the people that I loved. That's my now I love fucking Steven Spielberg, but that's my Spielberg. You know what I mean? Like that's my like, holy shit, I'm working with Lloyd Kaufman. Holy shit,
Yeah,
I'm
Kaufman.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
You know.
funny that you say it that way. The stuff that got me into filmmaking was watching the behind the scenes stuff on like Jaws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Filmmaking is fantastic. I had no
All of
idea that you couldn't just get a shark to do that. Like you had to build a shark.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was definitely a behind the scenes type kid.
And then getting further into it, you get to work with Lloyd Kaufman, which I'm sure my illustrious co-hosts have already asked you about.
Yeah.
And that's, from any angle, a sort of a dicey business proposition.
Certainly
But
was.
it's just a really cool thing to ponder, as someone who's spent their time trying to figure out how to fit a camcorder into the corner of a hallway and get the shot they want for a movie that maybe 15 people are ever going to see. That level of like low budget, just like the will to make it kind of filmmaking is something that you don't see very much and very rarely translates into big budget mainstream filmmaking.
Yeah.
And
very rarely.
And something like again, I'm not kidding. I've for the last 40 something minutes had Filthy McNasty playing on the TV.
You're better than I.
And there's a lot of coverage. There's different angles and stuff. There's a Romeo and Juliet poster in the background of some scenes. Like
that was a great movie.
But like the stuff like the funny fake mustaches and shit like that. It's like, all right, like we know what we're doing. There's like an ape prosthetic that's 90% of the way there to being like very functional, like the gag in Spaceballs where their super weapon crashes on the beach and it's oh shit, Spaceballs. Well, there goes the neighborhood, shit like that.
Love that movie.
So
we live in the margins of those jokes, making the movies we make. Like I had my Filipino friend pretend to be Japanese in a film, and all he did was say the names of Japanese car manufacturers and anime characters for Japanese. I'm pretty sure I'm not getting a position in the Senate anytime soon based off of that level of humor, but that's
I find it funny,
stuff.
Sam.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, part of the joke of Teen Ape is that it's clearly just a guy wearing a shitty mask.
Yeah.
That is baked into the joke. There was one time that Teen Ape was a prosthetic, and that was for Malva, zombie ass kicker.
That was Malva. That was a prosthetic in that?
For Teen Ape. Teen Ape it was, yes. And I hated it. I was like, he's much better. I was just like, I'm just gonna go back to the shitty little mask that we put over Casey's face, and that's what we did. And again, part of the joke and part of what's so great about it is that people still buy the character of Teen Ape, even though they clearly know it's just someone with a string with a half. We cut that mask out of a Planet of the Apes mask. You know, we just cut that face out of
Around the fur or what have you.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that was teenage. That was it.
Okay.
Let's not forget the wig and that awesome yellow shirt too.
Well, that's again,
That's
but
great.
that's the creation. He's a
Yes.
he's a
I don't know that it's yellow. It strikes me as more of like a 1970s paisley kind of thing.
it is
Yeah.
yellow. Like the main shirt that he wore was a woman's yellow blouse.
So that's why it made me think of Prince.
And then you just put a gray, fucking
Vest over
vest
that.
over it, and
the Eric Carr big 80s afro wig, you know, it's a distinctive character. And then there's the guy with the I've been electrocuted shocked white wig who's hugging him by the end. And I don't know, it's a hard thing to try and dig into. It's like I've been in the trenches of very low budget filmmaking. Oh shit, there goes the credits. Hero Sean as Julie, Miss Kitty as Liz, all this stuff. But it's the decision making at that level is like, all right, we've got like 2 days, we've got like $200 maybe if everyone's kicking in and it doesn't all go to fucking Papa John's or something like that. Like, what's the does not pass go, does not collect $200? Do I want this effect to be good, or do I just want it to be kind of a representative of the idea more so than effective? And then I'm going to have my friends do this. And it's like, I wrote half a script, so half of this is going to be kind of interpretive dance almost.
I get that.
It's something that people don't talk enough about, because, things that you made, things that I would make, you could get that distribution a lot easier, almost easier now. I think you could get just about anything on Amazon Prime.
Funny enough, find a lot of Chris's movies on Amazon Prime and the documentary.
That's where I watched the Weirdsies.
And the Weirdsies. That was great. I very much enjoyed the Weirdsies.
Oh yeah, the Weirdsies was a good time.
But that was never the concern. It was almost always, let's amuse us first, and then everyone else can kind of bite or not. But it's been getting easier. You don't have to sign a contract with a company and hope that, well, if we make 100,000 VHS tapes or 20,000 DVDs of this, are they going to sell? Now you can just put it out there and the audience will come.
I wish I had those streaming money. I wish I had that.
The streaming dollars. No one benefits from streaming.
Because I don't.
That's the worst thing. We should have.
I certainly do know who.
We should have 1,000 new John Carpenters or something like that, but no one is getting paid by streaming. But all the movies are going out, so it's like people are shooting their magnum opus into the abyss. And
luckily,
getting the returns.
The newer deals that I've made the last few years have included streaming in the deals.
Smart for you. Smart, man.
And I wouldn't do it otherwise. Back in the day, that wasn't a thing. And these guys, that's why any of my movies that you see out on streaming, I have nothing to do with, as far as like, I did not do it. I don't make money from it. These are deals that were made decades ago.
Well, now I feel bad.
And they can do whatever they want with.
It's okay.
I'm never told like what's out. It's always like somebody saying, "Hey, I just saw your movie on this." I'm like, "Awesome, that's cool." Like, nobody tells me shit because they don't have to. They own it. They own these things.
So wait, so they can stream your stuff as much as they want, but you don't have any like rights or say so to it?
No, because of those initial deals that were made, and those deals were made far before streaming was even a thing.
And that's a fine science unto itself. If you talk to someone,
when we were on Netflix, like
That was
I-
very brief too, from what I recall.
I
Right?
wish I had that deal.
Seriously, you damn,
You know?
that sucks.
But Tempe Entertainment had that deal.
Yeah.
And you better believe someone was making money, but it wasn't me. And that's just because of the nature of the beast when I came up. You know what I mean? So streaming was definitely a thing for these new contracts. I was like, hey man, I want
You
this.
got to get you a piece of that pie.
Yeah, I want this, or I'm not doing this. And luckily, it was like, okay.
So, do you know about how much it would cost for you to get all of your other stuff back to have it under that same deal where if they're going to stream it or sell it, it would go back to you instead of going to anyone else? Because, I mean, I'm not trying to be like stupid here, but that's completely super not fair because you put your time, your effort, that's your friends, your movie, but you get nothing from it. That's pretty fucked up, yo.
Yeah, it's because of, again, those deals, they made the upfront deals sweeter than the residual deals.
Okay.
So the upfront deals were like, oh, this is more money than I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? Like,
Which makes sense.
But so I did a residual deal once, and I mean, I think they were fucking with me because, that check that I would get back after a certain amount of time was like
10 cents.
This
$20.
This is bullshit. You're making more money than this.
Yeah.
Like off of me, like, and a lot of these guys aren't going to show you their numbers. They're not going to.
Yeah.
They're like, no.
It's like, oh, sure, here, let's show you our books.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No.
So there's titles that I know made thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Dude, that's
for those people. But at the end of the day, it really does come down to, hey man, but if it weren't for those deals, if it weren't for this stuff getting out there, I wouldn't have the cult following that I do now.
Which is true. I get that.
And I wouldn't have the new people who are discovering my shit, getting a hold of me and saying, yo, I just saw this and this was fucking hilarious. And where can I get other shit? So it all sort of helps. You want eyes on this stuff, whether it's good or bad, because people start talking about it. If you're on a worst movie that I saw this year list, it's still good for you because someone else.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, because someone's gonna be like, "Yo, like one man's poop is another man's chocolatey goodness." Like, you might think it sucks, but that person will go and watch it and be like, "Holy shit, this was hilarious!"
Yeah.
So,
and you'd be surprised at the amount of people that, at least in my perspective and my experience, that I've shown some of your stuff to, that have been like, this is great. And like the people that I would just never thought would be down with just the I don't know, just for people that I don't see being their cup of tea and then it ends up being their cup of tea, it's great. It's like, oh, that's awesome. I had no idea.
Like when you let me borrow Blood part, like I text you through the whole movie just like, laughing and everything, like, oh my god. And I would send you lines from the movie or at like I get that because like I had the best time.
That's I said it before, that was my most loaned out DVD of my collection, man. That thing's been across several states multiple times and returned back to me in good condition. So,
well, now that he sent you a Blu-ray, what you doing with your DVD copy?
Tooey's got it.
Oh,
Sorry,
I was hoping it was me.
Sorry, buddy.
It's okay.
But yeah, your stuff, and you definitely have an audience, which is great. And you've put in the time, you put in the years. You know what I mean? Your story is a very crazy one.
There's a good question from Jeff.
There you go. Well, you've already seen it, T. Have you seen Terror Bloodfart Lake? Oh my god, if he hasn't, I'm gonna kill him. Let's find this out. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, fair enough. I got some other stuff. T, that we'll set you up with, buddy.
Yeah. So I would say, again, that's, and we've talked about this, but you can say, okay, I've made 65 shorts and features, but I only like maybe 16 of them. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that I just do not like that I've made. So it's very easy for me to tell somebody, "Oh, this is the stuff that I prefer that I've done. I want you to check this stuff out." You know, and Blood Fart Lake is one of those. Uh, Sex Squatch.
That's what
I always tell people, "Hey, man, check it out. It's
You want to see my
hilarious."
sex squatch?
You know, I like Teen Ape Goes to Camp. I like I love the Weirdsies.
That was
I love
Mhm.
Geek War. Geek War is really fun. It's not a horror movie. It's just a dumb, absurdist comedy. Little kind of maybe a little love story in there too. But it's my type of love story.
Yeah, it's like a sock and a washing machine or something like that.
Geez, what else? I like Phantom of the Grindhouse.
Oh, that was so good. I love that
I
movie.
still have yet to
I
watch
watched
that one. I'm
that.
excited
Really
for that
good.
one.
That
I
was
like it.
so funny. The Prince and Michael Jackson mesh character was so
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, so you know, there's some I love and some I just oof, you know.
I get that.
But
Now,
it's great
here's
that other people out there love the stuff that I hate because it is finding somebody who likes it, you know. And it may not be the material that why I don't like it. It may be because, oh man, it was a fucking terrible experience making this film, you know. And so that's why I don't.
And it was interesting last time when we spoke because I had no idea. Like I knew that you felt that way about your movies, like you only liked a certain amount of them. But it was interesting, kind of going into the reasons why you didn't like some of them. You know, the Ron Bonk thing. You know, which in specific, which I enjoyed, but once you pointed it out, I could see the Evil Dead Redneck Zombies or whatever, Evil Dead Rednecks. You know, and you were like, yeah, we put like zero effort into that, and that was just something that Ron had wanted, and I was like, oh, okay, like you can kind of see that now.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you know, I was still, when I saw it, I was super excited because that was the only thing I had seen of yours up to that point was Blood Fart, and I was like, holy crap, here's these other movies that are on there of Chris's. Let me watch them.
Yeah.
And you know, that's another one. And I was like, it's not really the same, but it's got Leo DeChamp in it, and you know,
Leo
so I'm
DeChamp.
gonna let that slide.
I love Leo DeChamp.
He's back in the new one.
Oh, he's so good.
I wonder if Swire would do the show. Oh, that's a pipe dream. We'll get back to that at some point.
Yeah, he might.
I like the might. That's not a fuck no. I'll take a might.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might. He would probably do it if I were on it with him.
That's fair. Yeah.
He's fine with us.
You know, yeah, everyone, they're all like, you know, again, they're not actors. They're
They're not
everyday guys like we
like,
are.
just like, hey, this is weird and stuff. Yeah. No, I get it. Again, pipe dream. Not even. I'm glad we get to do this.
Your
with
brain's
people that we
thinking
get
your
to do
mouth
this.
is talking.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
What's happening.
I've got to sneak a thinker in here.
Go ahead, Sam.
I'm going to give you the question that hurts most people's brains if they actually like what they like. I'm going to need 2 top 5s. Top 5 objectively good movies and top 5 objectively bad movies that you enjoy. Like if, you know, like Terminator 2 would be in my top 5 objectively good movies. And then
Okay.
so
like Zombievers would be in my objectively bad movies.
I have a hard time with that because I think that like you like what you like, and you can say, okay, I can see fucking E.T. is a better made film than Samurai Cop, but is my
Oh, for sure.
enjoyment the same? Do you know what I mean? Like
I don't believe in guilty pleasures. I think
Me
we
either.
like what we
Me
like,
either.
but there are things. It's like I like this, and everyone agrees that it's good, and then I like this, and I'm the only guy in the room that likes it. That's the 2 scales I have.
I mean, I definitely have those, but I guess for me personally, I don't look at them that way because I love what I love. Um, so it kind of all goes together.
So you made this harder for yourself. You've given yourself a top 10.
But I can, but I can, I can sit back and look at it from the way that you want me to look at it. So, like I think Back to the Future is one of the greatest films ever made.
I agree with
Um,
that hands down.
And I think most people love Back to the Future. Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars film.
I agree.
So I'm always going to say Return of the Jedi. Uh, I I love this movie called Tapeheads. It's from 1988. It's a comedy with Tim Robbins and John Cusack.
That sounds so familiar.
Let's say,
I'm
wait,
like
John
racking my
Cusack's
brain
in that?
right
How have I
now.
not
I'm
seen
like,
that? I
wait a
love
minute.
Well,
John
it's
Cusack.
so I probably first watched it in 1990. It came out in 1988, and it's about these two, you know, best friends who start like a video company and they make music videos for people. But it's bonkers. It's so fucking stupid. It's a completely underrated film. Very few people like I've shown so many people this movie, and they ended up like loving it. But so Tapeheads is up there. I think Airplane is the funniest goddamn movie in the world.
Love Airplane.
Airplane,
Shirley.
Top
Didn't
Secret, like the early Zucker Brothers stuff to me
Yes.
is
Mhm.
genius. I'm never gonna say to you, "Oh, I think The Godfather is an amazing film," because I don't.
Yeah, no.
Um,
Gets a lot
I'm
more
very
credit
much,
than it needs.
I talked to these guys before about it, but I'm not a drama guy. I'm not a real life guy. The drama has to be wrapped around something fantastical, or elevated, heightened. Um, so you're not gonna see me talk about like Saving Private Ryan as like an amazing film. I don't
Well,
care.
clearly, you were a fan of the Highlander.
No, I'm not.
Oh no!
Oh shit!
I
Shot
think I
down.
think Highlander's a terrible film.
It's
I
not well
agree with
made. It,
Chris
it
on this
lives
one.
on
I
a
hate the
Queen
Highlander.
soundtrack, and
The soundtrack is the best thing going for that movie.
Yeah,
and
the rest of
Clancy
the movie's
Brown
trash.
carrying it
Outside
on
of
his
Clancy
shoulders
Brown.
like a slave.
Yeah, Clancy Brown is Clancy Brown and Queen are the best thing about that fucking
Yep.
movie. Other than that, I don't get the love for Highlander. But that's me. That's me.
I don't either.
You know, I think 89 Batman is fucking peak cinema.
Where's Groovy when we need him?
Yeah,
Where's
where's
Groovy?
Travis?
Groovy would have been all in
Travis
his
would be
element right
all
now.
over this.
This town needs an enema.
This town needs an animal. That's right.
Where's he get all these wonderful toys?
As far as modern goes, like I love Malignant. I think Malignant is fucking amazing, and it's an
that one
extremely
was-
underrated film.
That one was really interesting. It was like the people under the stairs, but like more intense.
Deep cuts, yeah.
Malignant,
I thought
Oh,
Malignant
wait.
was more like basket case.
yeah,
Like fucking like
Malignant's like
I wasn't
basket.
a fan of
Yeah,
Malignant.
I
Malignant
might
is
have it
like
mixed up. There was a point where they made a movie called they just had all the words for mean. Basically, it was like, oh, this is malignant. This is
Malevolent.
insidious. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah, malevolence, yeah.
I had one. I was like, oh, I'll make a parody one day. It'll be whatever the unused word was, and then they made that one too.
I think Conan the Barbarian, the original Conan movie,
Ooh, that's a
is
classic.
like mind-bogglingly good.
This is steel.
It is a good one.
I think that was the peak of Sword and Sandals. Personally,
I love Super 8. People don't like Super 8, but
I
goddamn,
love
I
Super 8. That was
love
a great
Super 8.
movie.
Uh-huh.
I remember seeing that in theaters and I was blown away.
And then there's, on the other side of things, there's I love Samurai Cop. It is objectively fucking abysmal. but goddamn, I am
I'm
entertained.
telling you, motherfuckers.
I am entertained every single time.
Did you see Samurai Cop 2?
I saw about 10 minutes of it and shut it off because
Good job,
it's
Chris.
not fun when you're in on the
It's-
joke.
It's
You know?
it's no longer fun because they're trying too hard, and it's like,
Well, the
well,
original director. It was
I
a
don't think I
foreign-
made it to Tommy Wiseau in that.
It's a
And,
foreign director. He
I love
tried to make an
Tommy
American
Wiseau.
action movie,
I love the room.
well, he also made what Killing American Style and
which
the
is
USA
also
Cop.
hilarious, but not intentional. But I love that. I love I love Never Too Young to Die, which is a 80s action movie starring John Stamos and Gene Simmons.
Oh,
What?
the short-lived movie career of Gene Simmons. What was
And
the one
it
where
had
he had the
John
grenade in his
Stamos.
mouth and he got blown up by
So
Rutger Hauer? I
John
think.
Stamos is like a James Bond character in it.
Of course he is.
His love interest is Vanity.
Yeah,
And
Back when Vanity was a thing.
Gene Simmons plays a transsexual hermaphrodite villain in the film.
Oh, he gets dropped off a dam in that one, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So it's the other one.
I
It's
wanna watch it.
Dead or Alive, where he gets blown up by Rutger Hauer.
So I love Never Too Young to Die. And it's fucking terrible, but goddamn is it entertaining. I love the movie Dr. Alien. The original title is I Was a Teenage Sex Mutant from Outer Space. But they,
I know that.
I need to bad my rip back.
Regional titles are the best.
well, it's a film. It's a Charles Band movie.
Yeah. Well, Charles Band is notorious for that. I don't know if you.
Yeah. So Dr. Alien.
Ginger Dead Man 2 Passion of the Crust is called something else on the other half of the country. I love the naming conventions.
Yeah. So, but Dr. Alien is a great sex comedy, but it's terrible. But goddamn,
Okay.
it's great. It's from 1989. You know, geez. God, I wish I was in front of my collection because I could pull out
You just start going
just
through
pulling
everything
the
like this one,
DVDs.
this one, this one, this one.
objectively terrible films that I love.
And I have to say, sometimes those are the best movies because somebody else will hate them, but they have a special place in your heart, which makes you love them. Like, I love The Room. I've showed it to almost every one of my friends who's ever come over, had a beer with me. Like, you got to watch this movie. Let's have a seat, have a beer, and let's smoke, and let's watch The Room. By the halfway point, they're like, I got to go. I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch the rest of this because I can't stop now that it's on. But it's one of those movies that, like, it's so bad, it's so good.
I have to say I enjoy The Room more than The Disaster Artist about the making of The Room.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. That was okay, like, to watch because, you know, you kind of want to see what
They
it's
were
about, but
slavish to replicating the shots and stuff, but they missed the very bad ADR dubbing. Like, for some reason, they didn't do that, and I was confused. It's like, you got everything else right. Everyone's trying really hard.
but nothing's ever actually happening.
Like, Ed Wood is a better version of that thing.
Yep.
And I wouldn't even say Ed Wood's movies were all that bad, like, compared to a lot of 50s era Atomic stuff.
No, I think
Like,
they're great movies.
they're kind of all in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, he just didn't have a giant bug in his movie. Oh, well, you know. Just had to make a miniature trailer and put a tarantula on it, and then boom, you got a 50s era sci-fi movie.
Mm-hmm.
Couple more guys in a laboratory with lab coats.
I actually do love the Ed Wood movie. It's one of my favorites that I've seen.
Tim Burton?
Yep.
Yeah, that movie's amazing.
That might be. I said this and I was like, oh, that might be Tim Burton's best movie. But then someone corrected me and said, dude, you're going to say Big Fish wasn't that good. And it's like, you know what? You might be right on that. So
I actually forgot he did Big Fish.
Because it's so. It's when you look at it, it's simultaneously the most Tim Burton thing in the world and not Tim Burton at all.
Yeah. Like I said, I completely forgot he did that one, actually.
That was back when he was a hungry artist. He wasn't, Mr. Spencer's and Hot Topic.
Yep.
making stuff with black and white stripes for the goth kids at the mall.
You had a mountain.
Sorry.
Holy shit, this is all docked together.
We did not manage to trick Ben into being with us today, but
No, he had
his,
family in town, unfortunately.
but my question would have been sort of a crossover affair because they just started the customs label at Fright Rags somewhat recently, which is print to order. And then it's like, well, what would go under print to order? And I know for a fact I would buy a T-shirt of it's hard to pick a title. There's so goddamn many. Man, you make too many movies for me. Let's go with Phantom of the Grindhouse. I would buy a Phantom of the Grindhouse T-shirt if it was available. And I'm sure, if it was print to order, it works out probably better for the artists than for Ben because they get paid a flat rate. And he's like, well, I have to sell 200 of these stupid things. But I would buy one,
I would.
Yeah. Ben, he, that's something we've talked about for almost 20 years.
That's something I've been bugging Ben about since I met him.
We need to have him on the show. That way we can all bug.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I asked him the same thing about Roger Corman. He was like, oh, well, the rights are all over the place. Like, I don't doubt that, but some of those companies don't exist anymore. And I think it was like Brad F. Henderson who does acquisitions for Vinegar Syndrome. He's the guy you can usually ask, like, who owns the rights to this? It's like, well, it's between these two companies because the rights are split or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's not very exciting, but can you give me a winning answer? Is it possible? Can someone get this?
Yeah,
and a lot of that stuff is just lost in the wind. That straight to video stuff in the VHS era, especially, just was put out, and a lot of those companies are defunct. So now it's like, who owns this? What do we do? Where do we go from here? How do we get this stuff back so it's not lost media? Like, some of the early films in the 1930s where it's just like, yeah, we showed it once and we threw the fucking film out and now it's gone. I guess there's not a question in there.
Yeah.
You're good, Sam. No
well, that works out fine because we're about up on time anyway.
Yeah, I figured we were getting close to the end.
But I could go on with Chris all day, but this poor guy's got to get up early.
I was texting Zach, who's going with me. He's like, how early? What's this? So, yeah.
No worries. We're going to let you go, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on, Chris. We love having you on, buddy. If you would ever end up wanting to come back on, I would not say no.
Anytime.
Well, we appreciate it.
And we don't have to keep talking about my garbage. We can talk about.
Well, that's what him and I were saying before the show. That I think I made the idea that maybe we should do this once a month. But I think the next time we do it, we just talk about like movies in general.
Yeah,
like not just horror movies, but like the broad.
Yeah, I wanted to dig deeper into just DIY independent film as a whole, and I just couldn't formulate the questions because I was like, oh, I forgot everything I wanted to ask because pressure is a motherfucker.
I just want to geek out,
let's all get together and bully Ben.
Get him to make some Fright Rag shirts for
He'll be over here Saturday, so I'll keep nudging him.
Yes, please do.
Next Saturday he'll be.
Yeah, I'll bug him too. But Sam, JJ, thank you guys for showing. Chris, of course, we love the shit out of you, man. Thanks for everything, man, and good luck tomorrow. I hope that goes really well, man. I'm gonna check in with you tomorrow, and you better have some good fucking news for me.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll probably post a video about it on the YouTube channel, and
I would love to see that.
Show some footage.
Please, that would be amazing. And everybody in the chat, thank you guys so much for showing up today. Anybody watching, thank you guys. Go out there and do good things because nobody else is going to. If everybody did one good thing for somebody else each day, this world would not be such a shitty place. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time on Hef TV, where Seaver may or may not be wearing pants next time. Who knows?
No
Everyone
pants
have a good night.
required. Bye.
No pants.